Could the silent majority user be a part of Morena's Contagion game? Let's talk about it. So this idea comes to us today from Fried Hot Wings, who asked, what do you think about Yuri or Shimano being members of Contagion? And before we go any further, let me give a little bit of a background here. If you haven't seen my video going over all of my thoughts on silent majority, I would recommend starting there because Yuri and Shimano are two of my prime suspects that I outline in that video for being silent majority. And we're not going to go over all of the evidence here in this video. But Hot Wings wanted to know, do you think that they could be members of Contagion? But specifically, they wouldn't be a part of Morena's Contagion game, but rather someone else's Contagion game. Somebody that was in Morena's game, but reached level 100, so then started their own game. And that's certainly an interesting idea. So let's take a look at this and pause to read all of Fried Hot Wings' thoughts, but we're going to go over them. So first up, just as a little refresher, the way Morena's Contagion game works is that there can only be 23 people at a time, including Morena herself. And we've seen all 23 of the original people. Now, I put original in quotation marks because I'm not saying these were the first ever, but these were the first 23 as they were introduced to us. Now, since we got this panel, some of these people have died, and we know that Morena has probably recruited more people. Borkson is at least one of them, right? But the interesting thing is, Morena probably had this ability before the Black Whale expedition, and she almost certainly did. So could there have been earlier iterations of 23 people from Morena? And almost certainly, right? Now, did any of them reach level 100? Who knows, but that's the idea here. So let's take a look at the two candidates Hot Wings presents. First is Kenny Wang, and there's obviously something going on with him and Morena because we know in his internal monologue, he says, this isn't looking good for you, Morena. These guys are likely to reach you sooner than expected. The game's only just begun, but you may have to play your Joker already. So what is their connection? Could he have been a previous member of Contagion? Certainly possible, but I don't think we have enough here to really go on. We also know that Morena doesn't really need to be fully aligned with people she brings into her game, right? They just have to share somewhat of a goal. And for a lot of them, it's just killing people, right? So Kenny Wang could have been recruited even if he has his own aims, as long as he was going to kill people along the way, right? So he could be working with Morena and yet still them not being truly allied, if that makes sense. So I think this is possible, but we certainly don't know enough to say for sure, right? And then the other candidate Hot Wings brings up is Kaiser. And this guy is so suspicious and mysterious. And at some point, I am going to give a deep dive on my full thoughts about what's going on with him. But I agree. I think Morena could be somebody he is strongly connected to. It's one of my best working theories at this point. So could he theoretically be a level 100 Contagion member? Maybe. Now, for the purposes of this video, it doesn't really matter who that theoretical person might be. The question is, could Shimano or Yuri, the potential user of Silent Majority, be a member of their Contagion game? And Silent Majority is their like Contagion game nin ability, and they're taking people out to level in the game. And personally, I would lean towards no, just because the vibe I'm getting from the Silent Majority user is like a very experienced nin user, and not somebody who is a novice just picking up their ability for the first time and trying to farm easy kills. Now, the two things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive because it could be that this other hypothetical Contagion game has been going on for a long time and Silent Majority is level 80 in that game. So they've gotten a bunch of experience and they've gotten a bunch of power, but just from what we understand about what's going on, and again, might be best to watch my original Silent Majority video to get my full, reasons there. I just feel like this person is more of a cold-blooded assassin, experienced nin user, and not somebody who's relatively new that has been granted this power by the game. But Hot Wings does bring up a really interesting point in his question, because during the nin classes, we see Kurapika compliment one of the maids on just how quickly she is learning nin. So what if she's the Silent Majority user that has been getting powered up thanks to gaining levels in the Contagion game when she's been killing people with Silent Majority? And that does make sense, and certainly the nin classes would be a fantastic place to farm levels because, sure, there's a lot of non-nin users at first, but then once these people learn nin, they're novices, right? And nin users are worth 10 points, so it would be like a feeding ground in a lot of respects, right? But at the very least, I don't think this moment points to anything because, one, the maid he says that to isn't Yuri or Shimano, it's Latiolus, and I don't think Latiolus could be Silent Majority. Again, probably check the previous video. But other than that, we also see that thanks to Bobby Mina's internal monologue, there's another reason that Kurapika pointed out her being so talented. And that's because he was kind of using that to inspire, let's call it, everyone else in the Nin class, like especially the muscle heads, to like work harder because, oh, I won't be outdone by this maid, right? So I think that was the real purpose of this scene and not necessarily a clue that it was Silent Majority gaining levels. Anyways, with all that being said, I don't think it's a far stretch at all to think that there could be a connection between Silent Majority and Morena, because as we know, Morena just wants people dead, and Silent Majority is out here sniping people. So perhaps they are aligned in some form or fashion, but I just don't know if I see the Silent Majority user being a member of the Contagion game. Given how sophisticated and powerful that seems to be, it just more so speaks to an experienced Nin user. But, you know, that's just my 2 cents, and I fully expect Tagashi to throw some twists at us, so it might be this. But let me know all of y'all's thoughts in the comments. And Hot Wings, thank you so much for the support, man, and thank you all for watching.